What's happening, Wargamers? Welcome to another episode of the Dossier, the Marvel Crisis Protocol show where we share our hot potato opinion takes on all things Crisis Protocol characters. Remember, these are strictly opinions. You can find all sorts of great discussion online on the various Discords, Facebook groups, all that sort of stuff. These are not meant to be taken as gospel truth. These are just meant to be taken as I'm right, you're wrong. So today, I'm actually joined by Jason from Zetrox Wargaming.
How's it going?
You'll recognize him from hopping on to a bunch of battle reports here. And he's always good to bring some good opinions. We've had some few spirited discussions on various characters. But he's joined me today to talk about a couple of them, and Thanos is one of the first ones because he's also one of the few characters still left from Ministravaganza to discuss. So yeah, we're going to talk about Thanos today.
Yep.
So first things first, what do you think about the model?
I mean, I think the model is great for Thanos. It really captures him well. I love that you have the choice of the gauntlet or without the gauntlet, but also it's not really a choice. If you're going without the gauntlet, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
But no, I think the pose is great. I love the custom base and how it goes into the throne. I think it's a fantastic model that really captures that kind of menacing, I am inevitable sort of thing.
I think something I would have liked, and they're probably saving this possibly for like Thanos 2 or something like that. I would have liked to get Thanos like in his battle armor with that big old sword that he uses.
That would have been sweet.
In Endgame, yeah.
Also, where's my Thanos copter?
Exactly. Yeah, there we go. There's a deep dive Thanos copter because that's obviously what he needs to get around. Yeah. That actually made it into Loki, didn't it? With the Thanos copter.
Did it? I'd have to double check.
Side tangent. Yeah. But no, I absolutely agree with you. I think the pose of the model is absolutely great. It is. Of all like the sort of like the stand and fight me type poses we have, I think the Thanos one is probably one of the most deserving of it.
Yeah.
The only thing I will say about the model, and this kind of threw me off, is that it's shorter than I anticipated it would be.
They make him look like a much more towering figure in like the movies and stuff. So yeah, he's putting him beside Hulk. He looks short. Yeah,
and that kind of threw me a little bit.
Yeah.
But still, it's a very good imposing model. I like the fact that he's just stepping forward. I also would have liked an unhelmeted head option.
That would have been cool.
Which would have been cool. But again, I mean, none of these are complaints. None of them take away from the model itself. I think it's a very fine model.
Yeah.
Which I'm all for. But yeah, so let's talk about the Thanos card because it actually saw a rather interesting change.
Yeah.
And we'll go over some thoughts and opinions at the end of it all. But yeah, so we'll talk about his main stat line here. It's a 3-3-4 for his defenses with 8 stamina, 6 threat, size 3, medium move.
Yep. Relatively standard.
I mean, for a 6 threat character, that's actually a little low on the defensive side.
It is. The 3-3-4 looks weak at first.
Yeah, it does. Like obviously, there's something in here that will help him on that one. The 8 stamina, really good.
Yeah, that's solid.
No complaints there. So yeah, why don't you take us through his attacks?
Yeah, Thanos is rolling in with 2 attacks here. He's got his basic strike. This is going to be a 6 dice builder on the physical side. It's only range 2. It's going to gain power equal to the damage. And it's got a wild throw, which, correct me if I'm wrong, is that any size?
It is any size.
So any size throw on a builder, that's great. That's just a solid thing.
Very appropriate for Thanos.
For sure.
Yeah.
And then he's got Cosmic Blast, which is also a free attack, but it's energy. It's range 3. It starts out at 5 dice, but you could pay up to 3 power to add up to 3 dice. It also has the Wild Titan's Will. So if you get the Wild, you're going to push the target character small, and then you're also going to apply the slow condition to them. So he's got some really solid control abilities on both of his attacks. That said, as far as 6 threats go, he's one of the more pillow-fisted, I would say, with kind of 8 dice being his ceiling.
Yeah, he doesn't
really good control on both.
He doesn't bring a lot fighty wise just on his base card alone. Like you compare him to any other 6 threat aside from like maybe Magneto.
Yeah.
And I mean,
well, and even then Magneto's got rerolls and stuff going on, right?
So yeah, it's kind of weird. But the thing is, you don't bring Thanos for him punching things. Like he's got other things. So first off, he's got a leadership for the Black Order, Death's Agenda. And this becomes something different on his injured side. When an enemy character is KO'd, the controlling player or the character's controlling player scores 1 victory point.
Anything that scores VPs is good.
Go hunting for those grunts. Take them out. It's good times. And then on his injured side, if you take a look at that, basically what it becomes is during the modified dice step, an allied character may suffer up to 3 damage. For each damage suffered, they can reroll 1 attack die. It's okay.
Yeah, it's definitely there are definitely people out there who will tell you he doesn't have a leadership on his flip side, and that's sometimes true. In niche cases, it can save you a game, though.
Yeah, I mean, rerolls are always good.
Yes.
No matter where they're coming from, rerolls are always good. And honestly, if that was his leadership on both sides, I think people would be fine with it. It's just that we have this great leadership on the front side.
It is definitely much better on the front.
So here's the biggie. This is why so many people like Thanos, though, is Cosmic Portal.
Yep.
It's 2 power. You choose another character within 4 of this character. You place them within 2. This superpower, and this is one of the changes, can only be used once per turn.
Yeah, so when this was not once per turn, this was crazy. You're going to move half your enemy team and your own team every turn.
Yeah.
Only model he can't hit is himself.
He was such an amazing late round activation that you just go up and you rearrange the board. People, like when you thought you'd have a safe objective or something like that, you just shift your rate off it.
Yep.
It was very difficult to play around as a result. But with Ministravaganza, they changed it to once per turn, and frankly, it's a good change.
It is. I mean, his control is still phenomenal, and we'll get into some of his other ways he can control later, but that can work on an ally or an enemy still, so you can bring enemies towards you, you can get them off points, you can bring allies into the fight, whatever you want to do. His attacks still both have great control effects on them. He's still a phenomenal control piece.
Oh yeah, no, he's great. Next up, he's got Death's Decree. This is probably one of my favorite abilities in the game. I'm not even a Black Order player, but I love this ability.
It's fun.
It's 2 power, and basically the shtick is choose an allied character within range 4 when they're targeting an enemy character. You'll either get to add 2 dice to their attack if they're healthy, or 4 dice if they're unhealthy. And a character can only be targeted once per turn, I think it is. No, it's only once per turn.
Yeah, it is just once per turn.
Once per turn. I thought it was only characters. I love this. More dice.
Yeah.
There was a brief time that I was playing him in Weapon X, and it was just obnoxiously rude.
Yeah,
and
it's fun. It's a fantastic ability. I mean, 2 power, add 2 to 4 dice based on the current situation. It's just good.
And range 4 is, don't discount range 4, right?
One big thing about that once per turn that does come up a lot is in Black Order with the whole Proxima Corvus taking one turn together. You can only do it to one of them because it is the same turn.
And I've seen new players get caught up by that, especially. So you gotta watch for that. So next up we got Being of Immeasurable Power. Basically, it is damage reduction 1, and it's down to a minimum of 0.
Which is fantastic.
I mean, doesn't have to pay for it.
I think he's the only one in the game who reduces to 0 without paying for it.
I think so. I think so. I can't think of anyone else off the top of my head anyway.
And that's fitting for Thanos.
Yep. And then, of course, he gets to make use of a mechanic that has been woefully absent from the game for too long.
Yeah.
He can equip 2 Infinity Gems. Unlike other characters, you can only get 1 if they're allowed it. But on top of that, he can use any reactive and active superpowers of those gems without paying the power cost. And this is kind of the crux of what made Thanos stupidly powerful.
Oh, and this is where we get into why he's still an amazing control piece.
So now, just one quick thing, like when you look on his injured side, he does lose something else. Like first off, he gains 1 more point of stamina, but he also loses his Cosmic Portal.
Which is a big deal.
Yeah, it is a big deal, but I mean, if Thanos is on your injured side, I think the rest of your team has kind of gone pear-shaped.
Yep.
And you're probably kind of flailing a bit anyway. And then, of course, he's immune to stun.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the big elephant in the room on this one, and that is all his Infinity Stones and what they do for him, because they're big.
Yeah.
So let's get the jank out of the way first, the useless ones. So first off, you ever taken Time Stone?
I've actually seen it. I don't think Time is the worst call for him, but it's usually not the first pick.
When Time used to give you another action, it was way better.
Yeah.
Now it's simply just at the end step, I think, does you reroll the dice.
It's basically a recal for yourself.
And the problem is you're not typically going around punching things with Thanos.
No, it can help him get his triggers and stuff, which is why I've seen it run. It's not a terrible stone for him, especially if you want some of the better stones to be on some of your other members of your team. But
there's so many better stones.
Yeah.
Is the thing. Okay, so next up, let's talk Power Stone.
He doesn't need it.
Nope.
He's allowed 2 stones. He's generating 3 power a turn.
Yep, that 4th power every turn is really kind of inconsequential. When he was able to Cosmic Portal,
it might have been a little more relevant.
And now it's just because it's just once, he doesn't really need to do it all that much because he doesn't, outside of like Death's Decree, he's not doing it on his turn anyway.
Yep.
So Cosmic Portal is the only thing he's spending power on in his turn.
And a lot of the times between Cosmic Portal and the other stones that he actually is bringing, he's probably generating some power on that builder.
Right. Okay, so let's choose another one. What's
Soul?
Yeah, okay, Soul Stone. So for anyone who doesn't know what Soul Stone does, and I'm sure there's a lot of you out there, basically if an enemy uses a superpower within range 4, you get a power. This just goes back to what we were just saying about Power Stone. He doesn't need the power generation.
He really doesn't. It's not going to disincentivize your opponent as much as you want it to. Yeah. Don't bother with it.
A powered up Thanos, especially now that he can only Cosmic Portal once per turn.
It's
right?
not as powerful as it used to be.
Okay, so now we're getting into the big three.
Yes.
We're getting into let's talk reality first on this one.
Reality is amazing on this guy.
It is.
Better dice on defense, better dice on attack. Those are just good things. The only reason why you don't see him with reality usually is because Corvus is holding reality.
Yep. Corvus gets a little bit more out of reality, I think, than Thanos does.
Just a little bit.
But of course, anytime you're potentially able to add more dice by getting an extra crit in there, because I mean, you're counting one skull as a crit every time he rolls a die.
Yep.
Which is absolutely insane.
As a splash, reality Thanos is extremely popular.
Yep. So yeah, very good. But I think the last two are probably the ones that are probably the most impactful for Thanos, and that's mind and space.
Yep.
So, okay, you're probably gonna have to correct me if I get these mixed up. Mind Stone is basically it's a bow. It's you will advance somebody short.
Yep.
And I think this is anyone, or is it just enemy characters?
Just enemy. So you can't use it on allies, can't use it on yourself.
Oh no.
Yeah. So yeah, you can kind of stack this up with your Cosmic Portal. You could either use this to move two enemies, you could move one enemy a very large distance. And the really important thing is usually the Mind Stone is going to cost you 1 or 2 power, but he's going to do it for free.
Yep.
So right out the gate, you can Cosmic Portal and Mind Stone an enemy. I mean, that's an absurd amount of movement. You can drag someone all the way over to, your Corvus and Proxima.
Yeah, you rearrange the board. And then you pair that up with the Space Stone, which is basically, what is that, a range 3 place?
So it's a range 3, he can select a target ally.
And then it's a range 2 place, yeah.
So he can do it to himself, which a lot of the times he does, or he can do it to bring another punchy model up the board.
It's a mini Cosmic Portal, basically, right? Like it's absolutely crazy. Like, and that's basically what it was. His ability to rearrange the table at the end of a round was just absolutely insane. So him getting there's a lot of people who saw the Cosmic Portal change and started crying nerf and all that sort of stuff. But there was one other big thing that happened with this, and that was these stones became unrestricted.
Yeah, which I think is huge for Thanos here. I mean,
at worst, it's a lateral move.
Yeah.
Right? But at best, it's now you're dealing with a Thanos that also happens to have like Brace or Patch Up or Indomitable or something like that, right?
I mean, Space and Reality, correct me if I'm wrong, were the two that were restricted before. Might have been Mind, but I think it was Space and Reality.
I think it was Space and Reality.
And Space Reality Thanos is one of the most commonly splashed models in the game.
Yeah, Miss Thanos.
Or Senior Thanos.
Oh yeah, sorry, Senior Thanos.
Miss Thanos is also Mind Space, but yeah.
Everyone's blushing bride. So yeah, it was absolutely crazy what he was able to do. And actually that segues really nicely into the next the sort of the capper point of this is like where Thanos kind of belongs. And because of his stones, like even at 8 threat, he is so splashable.
Yep. He works great pretty much anywhere. Like even just threatening him, having him in your list, whether you're playing him or not, your opponent's going to be forced to think about how to deal with that model.
Yep. No, it's absolutely crazy. Like there's so many forces that can easily put him in there, and if you happen to be able to run a wide list, and where putting in an 8 threat character is only losing like. You're losing 2 characters or 3 characters, but you still have 4 other characters. I'm looking at you, Guardians. Friggin' Guardians.
Yeah, Guardians might be one of those places where he's kind of crazy good.
It becomes kind of crazy. So he's very easy to slip in there, and he's one of those pieces that I think when you've kind of grok him and you figure things out, he is very difficult to deal with on the table, and you need to have a plan.
He's ridiculously bulky with that damage reduction to 0. He hits reasonably hard still. Like, you can't ignore him by any means. And he's one of the best control pieces in the game. Arguably the best control piece in the game.
Hands down. So yeah, not only does he love leading the Black Order, but he loves being splashed as well. And just in general, he to this day is still a great character to toss in the game. I don't know if I'm so jazzed about a 6 threat variant of it, but once you throw 1 stone on him, 2 stones, like he becomes a lot better.
And that's the other important thing to note is I think 7 threat Thanos is also still very good. 1 stone is great.
Yep.
I think 0 stone you run into some problems, but
yeah, there's better tech you can take at 6 threat.
Yeah.
For that, namely they're big and green and stupid. Or they're just obnoxiously insane.
Yeah.
So that is Thanos. Share your comments below. Let us know what you think about Thanos, his place in the game, and all this sort of stuff. And of course, if you want to support the channel and see more content like this, patreon.com/AegisBrand Studios. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Happy wargaming.